Alrighty guys, so you saw the title of the video today. We have to go over my 10 biggest holdings. We're going to start off with number 10, then we're going to get all the way to number 1 at the end of this video. So as you all know, the markets have been collapsing. So I want to just break down with you guys what I'm holding right now as we are experiencing this pretty bad collapse, which, let's be honest, it could get worse. So let's start off with number 10, which is Realty Income, ticker symbol O. This is not a stock, believe it or not. This is actually a real estate investment trust, which it's pretty much, think about it as a fund that owns a bunch of real estate, right? You guys probably know about Realty Income. They pay a monthly dividend. And since their inception, I think in 1993, Realty Income has outperformed the S&P 500. I believe with dividends reinvested, their return something like 14 to 15% compounded since 1993, which was almost, at this point, 30 years ago. So number 10 is Realty Income, and this is one that I've been buying pretty much all year, and I've built it up to a pretty decent sized position now that it's at number 10. Number 9 is VOT. VOT is a mid-cap growth ETF. This is one that I started buying, I believe, towards the end of, maybe not towards the end of 21, but early on in 2022. And it's one that I've been buying, I don't want to say very aggressively lately, but I've been adding to it pretty aggressively. Well, not aggressively, but, over, bi-weekly, pretty much this, the past 3-4 months as it's been getting hit very aggressively. As I think I initially bought it at 230, and as the start, it's been starting to come down. I've been wanting to really bring that average down. So VOT has gotten itself to the 9th slot in terms of my 10 biggest holdings right now. And, if you asked me this a year or two ago, my 10 holdings would have been very different. Some of them are the same, but some of them were not in here about a year or two ago, and I'm sure a lot of you could relate. Just because this is my top 10 right now doesn't mean that in 2 weeks from now, it'll still be my top 10. But right now, it's my top 10, and let me clarify this in terms of dollar value. So the most money, we'll see in a couple of minutes here, is in I'm not going to spoil it. Make sure you guys stick on throughout. So the 8th one here is Alibaba, ticker symbol BABA, which might be controversial. You guys might be like, Stas, and I've gotten this hate before. No, I don't want to say hate, but the criticism, Stas, Alibaba, what are you doing? It's a VIE structure. It's going to go out of business. China, the government, they're going to, throw your shares out the window. It could happen. But I believe right now, China is a big opportunity for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And does that make me un-American? I don't think so, personally, but some people would disagree. But I feel like China, if we're being realistic here, they're going to do very well over the next 10, 15 years. Now, does that mean the U.S. has to suffer because of that? I don't think so, and I don't think the U.S. will suffer. But I think China will do very well, and they could easily outpace the U.S. in terms of growth the next 10, 15 years. So why would I not want to own one of the biggest companies in China that, let's be honest, is very cheap, fundamentally speaking, and they're growing like crazy? Yeah, I want to own that. Bring it on. I'll take the risk. I'm in my mid-20s at this point, mid-late 20s. I mean, I could take a lot of risk right now, and I'm down for that. So, that's why I made Alibaba my 8th biggest position, or it currently is my 8th biggest position, if I could talk today, guys. I didn't intend for it to be my 8th, but right now it is. And, it's going to probably stay around there, for the time being. Disney is another holding that I have. It's my 7th biggest position. And this is one that I'm holding for years on end. A lot of these I plan on holding for years on years on years. And Disney, 5-10 years from now, there's no doubt in my mind, 15 years from now, it's going to be a way bigger business. Way just higher quality. Even when I first went to Disney World, I was 18, and it was way better the second time around when I was like 24, 25 or something like that. So they're continuously adding more things to their parks. Their intellectual property continues to grow, and I don't see this stopping anytime soon. In 10, 15 years, could you imagine how awesome Disney World is going to be? Whether you support this movie, that movie, or not, let's be real here, guys. Disney's freaking awesome. I'll be the first to tell you. I love Disney, and I think it's going to be here for a very long time. And I think it's going to do well. So for that reason, it's my 7th biggest holding. My 6th is Meta, META. Good old Meta. This is one that I used to own a couple years ago. Sold out of it. All my OG viewers probably remember that. If you don't, it's all good. I'll tell you right now. I used to own it. Sold out of it. I didn't own Meta. Well, then it was Facebook. Now it's Meta. I didn't own it for probably a year and a half, 2 years. And now, over the past couple of months, I've been buying it, and I've been adding to it pretty aggressively. This is one that I have been adding aggressively, not VOT. I kind of mixed that up back a couple minutes ago. But Meta have been adding aggressively. And this is one that I've been buying since 2 quarters ago. Their earnings from 2 quarters ago. From 230 to 200 to 210 to 170 to 160. Or actually, I didn't buy yet in the 160s because now it's under 160. I might have to buy some more today. And hold on a second. There's a big divergence here. What's going on? Meta's down 2% on the day, while the NASDAQ currently is up 2.8%. So the NASDAQ's up 3%, Meta's down 2.5%. What is going on? Today might be the day to maybe add a little bit more. So I'm going to continue buying Meta. Currently, it's my 6th biggest holding, and my 5th is XLE, which I should have locked in some gains, a couple days ago, but it's all good. It's come down a good chunk, over the past couple of weeks. And the crazy thing is, guys, well, I guess it's not that crazy considering, oil couple months ago was a lot lower, but my average on XLE right now is right around, I think, $57 to about $58. I've been getting those dividends, reinvesting those dividends. This is one that I'm holding, it's really for the bear market that we're in right now, and I kind of anticipated this over a year ago. Call me crazy, or call me a liar, rather. But you guys know, if you've been an OG viewer, you know I was talking about energy way before. I'm not saying I'm some kind of genius, but I was talking about it way before a lot of YouTubers were, like over a year ago. And I've owned XLE for a while. Made it. I'm up a lot on it. I've traded it, made a lot of money on it. And Chevron's one I used to trade. Exxon, I owned it, made a lot of money on it. So energy, we've been crushing it. And I'm still up on it a lot, and I'm holding on it right now, or holding on to it right now. It's my 5th biggest holding, XLE. My next one here is VXUS, which I've actually beefed up a lot these past couple of months. And this is, what is it? The Vanguard Total International Stock Market Fund. That's the official name. I don't want to butcher it for you guys. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Vanguard Total International Stock Market Fund. And if you guys look at history, right, and I'm not saying that the U.S. is going to collapse. I'm not saying that, but typically, when the U.S. stock market underperforms, when the U.S. goes through a bear market, recession, maybe it's a couple of years where the U.S. market is in shambles, it's struggling, it's flat, bear market, whatever, during those time periods, international markets do well. We're talking Europe, maybe Asia, right? Emerging markets, whatever. Those typically do well during those time periods. So I'm a person that is heavy U.S. I'll be honest. I used to be, especially, maybe not now as much as I used to be, but I used to be heavy U.S. stock market. And really over the past year or two, I've been diversifying abroad, with VXUS especially, and I own some, a lot of the stocks within certain ETFs I own. They have business abroad as well, so that gives you exposure. But I've really wanted to get direct exposure, which with VXUS, that is possible. So this is one that I've been buying, and I'm going to continue buying it, and I plan on holding it for a good couple of years at this point, at least, and they pay a very nice dividend. The thing is, with international stocks, their returns aren't as great as U.S. Let's be honest. They're just not. But they do pay a nice dividend, and again, it's kind of like a hedge against the U.S. market, because historically it does well. The international does well when U.S. is slowing down a little bit, and we'll see. It's my fourth biggest right now. My third biggest is Apple. I don't talk much about it, but I do own a lot of Apple. This is actually a stock that I've owned for years on years on years. I can't even remember when I first bought Apple, but this is one that I've just owned for quite some time, probably like 6 years, maybe 6-something years. I remember 2016. What was it, 2017? I forget. Apple was like $90 then, and I remember I was at my one job, my job at that point. My one coworker, I remember, I forget his name, but he was saying, "Oh, Apple's overvalued. Apple's overvalued." And mind you, this was at 2016-17 when it was $90 before it split. You know, I think there was a split back then. And obviously it's gone up like crazy since then. But I remember he was saying that, and when he was saying that, I held Apple. I was buying it, and in my head I'm like, this guy's a moron. But I don't think I ever said that to him. But we were talking about it, and I told him I own Apple. I'm gonna hold it, and here we are. It's my third biggest holding. It's done very well for me, and I'm gonna continue holding it. In fact, if this thing gets close to $100, I'll probably buy even more during this bear market crash, whatever you want to call it. Now, number 2, you guys probably know this one. It is Google, guys. Ticker symbol GOOG. My biggest individual stock holding. This is my biggest one right now. And who knows? It might not always be my biggest one, but right now, and it has been for quite some time, it is my biggest individual stock holding. So Google is one that I haven't owned as long as Apple. Apple, I've owned it again since 16, 17 roughly. Google, probably, I've owned this stock for probably 3 years, maybe since 20, I forget exactly, but that's not the point. The point is that I've built it up to one of my biggest, my biggest individual stock holding, but one of my biggest holdings in general, because the growth over the next couple of years is it's going to be astounding in my opinion. And sure, this could come down more. Google could easily go down to 1,500 a share, 1,700, 1,800. But if you look at the growth rates of this company, the different segments of the business, how profitable they are, where they haven't even gone in terms of untapped markets, emerging markets, YouTube, I think Google's going to do very well. And, it's my biggest holding, individual stock holding for a reason, guys. And the valuation where we are today, although it may not be bargain basement value, in fact, it's not bargain basement value. It's pretty good. It's a pretty decent value. I'd say it's close to fair value, guys. Google right now, the market cap, last I checked, is right around 20, or rather the PE is right around a 20 for trailing 12 months, which is pretty low. That's under probably the S&P's P. Actually, I don't know what the S&P's PE right now is. I don't want to misquote that. But Google's is right around 20. Market cap's 1.47 trillion, so it's a big company. And I think it's going to get bigger, and I'm still going to hold it, and I'm going to buy more of it if it comes under 2,000. I'm being very patient. So the biggest holding here, guys, which you probably could guess it, maybe not, I don't know. It's the S&P 500 ETF, ticker symbol VOO. Although I'm a big individual stock guy, I love trading. I love selling options, calls, puts, all that good stuff, buying, selling. I love it. Although that stuff is awesome, I love the bare bones basics, right? The fundamentals, buy and hold, and have a foundation in the portfolio. And that's what VOO is to me, the S&P 500 ETF. It's my biggest holding by a big, I don't want to say by a mile. It's like massive to the point where it's 90% of my portfolio, but it's probably 50% of my portfolio, if I'm being honest. 50, 60%. It's a big portion of my portfolio, and I want it to remain that way because I'm not proclaiming I'm some kind of genius where I'm going to pick all my individual stocks and have just 4 stocks that I know are going to outperform over the next 20 years. I don't want to do that. I want to have a foundation that I know is going to match the market, that I know is going to do well over the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years, which is the S&P 500. I'm confident in that in the United States, right? The economy long term. And then I want to make individual bets where if I hit on these stocks, I will outperform the market, right? If I hit on these stocks long term, they outpace the S&P 500, and I have the S&P 500, and I'm selling options, and I'm getting dividends, reinvesting dividends, and I'm doing maybe some other option strategies, this is how you can outperform the market. Because if you own strictly the S&P 500, you're not going to outperform the market, which is not bad, which is not necessarily a bad thing. You're going to perform in line with the market, which is great. The funny thing is 85% of mutual fund managers, they underperform the market. So if you're in line with the market, you're doing fantastic. But for me, I want to try and beat the market long term, and I'm doing that by buying individual stocks, calls, all the trading I'm doing, and having that base, the VOO, right? That foundation, that base. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys, in the comments. That's it. Those are my 10 biggest holdings. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, drop me a comment, join my Patreon, and get yourself some free stocks if you haven't done so already. 10 free stocks from Moomoo. That's linked down below with a $100 deposit. Those stocks each could be valued all the way up to $2,500, and you can get 6 stocks from Webull with any amount deposited. That's linked down below as well. And with that being said, cheers, guys. I'll see you in the next video later tonight. Peace out.